Sarojini Naidu was called as Bharat ki Bulbul or the Nightingale of India by Mahatma Gandhi. Can you tell me why? Was it because of her sweet voice? No, no, no. It was actually because of her work, the color, the imagery, and the lyrical quality of her poems. So nice. अभी नायडू की बात क्यों की क्योंकि आज एक क्वेश्चन आएगा based on her. Okay, so I thought it would be a good teaser. Hello, how are you today? This is Hina from Team TES, and I welcome you in my series of question answers to help you with Rajasthan set exam. These questions are equally important for NET and all the other set exams across India. I, of course, give you a little explanation, but if you want detailed notes of the same, you can contact Tess on the number 93878-39871. So let's begin with today's first question out of 15. Here it is on your screen. Ideas Mirrour of 1594 is a collection of sonnets by option A, Michael Drayton, B, Samuel Daniel, C, Robert Southwell, or D, Thomas Kidd. Ideas Mirror is written by, of course, option A, Michael Drayton, an English poet of 16th and 17th century who actually wrote during the Elizabethan, Jacobean, and Caroline eras, all three eras. Now, Ideas Mirror is his sonnet sequence, okay? And there were frequent revisions in this work from 1594 onwards, because of which a final work came. Ideas Mirror turned into Ideas. Okay, in the year 1619. Understand this. Ideas Mirror को revise करते गए and वो बन गया Ideas of the year 1619. अभी Ideas Mirror की ही बात करें तो it consists of a massive cycle of 51 sonnets. So many sonnets together in this collection. Let's move on. Question number 2. The brightest, the wisest, and the meanest of mankind was said about which Elizabethan writer? Your options are A. Ben Jonson, B. Robert Greene, C. Francis Bacon, or D. Thomas Wyatt. Brightest, wisest, meanest of mankind was option C, Francis Bacon. Look at him on the screen. Well, he was the Attorney General and Lord Chancellor of England. Okay. Now, these lines have been uttered by Alexander Pope. Pope said, I'll tell you, Bacon is the wisest because of his worldly wisdom. He is the brightest because of his powerful intellect and his art of writing terse essays. And also, he is the meanest because of his treacherous character. Bacon actually was called as the true child of Renaissance. Okay, let's move on to question number 3. Disagreement between Dryden and Shadwell led to the writing of. Your options are A, the Dunciad, B, Lycidas, C, Macflackno, or D, Annus Mirabilis. Dryden or Shadwell lade और Dryden ने क्या लिख लिया? It is option C, Macflackno. Look at that cover on the screen. It says Macflackno, a poem by J. Dryden, with Spenser's Ghost being a satire concerning poetry, right? Now, Dryden, I'll tell you, was the poet laureate of England from 1668 to 1688. And after him came Shadwell, who was poet laureate from 1689 to 1692. Okay? So we should connect it like this because poet laureate questions also come in exam. Abhi Macflackno was published in the year 1682. It is a mock heroic satirical verse written by Dryden, and it is a direct attack on Thomas Shadwell. Ekdam सीधा attack करना, okay? यहाँ वहाँ घूम फिर के बात नहीं करनी. Now, what were both of them fighting about? I'll tell you. First, they were fighting about the genius of Ben Jonson. Second, about the value of rhymed plays. Third, Dryden's preference for comedy of wit, but Shadwell's preference for comedy of humors. And fourth, they were fighting over plagiarism. Abhi politically bhi dekhe, they both belong to different parties because Dryden supported the Stuart monarchy, whereas Shadwell was a Whig. Okay, let's move on to question number 4. Which of the following plays is based on a Mughal ruler? Option A, the Indian emperor, B, Aurangzeb, C, the Indian queen, or D, All for Love. All these works are by Dryden. आज तो Dryden एक के बाद एक हो गया ना? Okay, tell me, which play is based on a Mughal ruler? It is option B, Aurangzeb, a tragedy acted at the Royal Theatre, written by John Dryden, servant to His Majesty. एक बार अपन बात करें इन सब के बारे में. Let's talk about the Indian Emperor. It deals with the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. ठीक है? Then Indian Queen की बात करें. So this was a collaboration by Dryden and Robert Howard. This play speaks about Spaniards, Mexicans, and Peruvians. After this, let's talk for All for Love. Of course, you know All for Love is an imitation of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. So kya bacha? Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was a restoration drama written in the year 1675. It is based on Aurangzeb, who was then the reigning Mughal emperor of India. It also talks about his brother Murad Baksh and their papa Shah Jahan. Right? Let's move on to question number 5. Tales from Shakespeare, adapted Shakespeare's plays into stories, were authored by option A, Dorothy and William Wordsworth, B, Mary and Charles Lamb, C, Sarah Hutchinson and S.T. Coleridge, or D, Mary and P.B. Shelley. Collaborative work, Tales from Shakespeare, written by Bhai Behan, Mary Lamb, Charles Lamb. Abhi dekho, Tales from Shakespeare is a children's book, okay, written by, as I told you, in the year 1807. इस वर्क में Mary retold Shakespeare's comedies, whereas Charles retold his tragedies. Okay, Charles retold his tragedies. Because it was for young persons, written here, look at the cover, designed for the use of young persons. Because of this, all the sexual references, the subplots, etc. were omitted. Okay, and I really like this idea, how we can tell the history, the historical books to children in their language. Isn't it great? You can actually work upon this. Let's move on. Question number 6. The book A Grammar of Motives was written by option A, Noam Chomsky, B, Frank Palmer, C, Kenneth Burke, or D, R.S. Crane. A Grammar of Motives was written by, it is option C, Kenneth Burke, the man on the screen. Well, Burke, an American literary theorist and one of the founders of New Criticism, lived from 1897 to 1993. Should I tell you a little bit about Burke? He was absolutely self-educated after his high school. When I read this, I felt that after COVID, many parents around the world began this concept of homeschooling. They stopped sending their kids to school. They made them study at home and फिर वो सिर्फ एग्जाम दे के आते थे. I like this concept, but then मुझे लगता है इंडिया में अपन को लगता है बच्चे स्कूल जाए तो हमारा काम होए. Isn't that the truth? Yes, it is. Now, about A Grammar of Motives, it explores first human motives, their thoughts and expression. And second, it eliminates the world of conflict through understanding. This book wants to do that, eliminate the world of conflict. And how does Kenneth Burke does it? He does it through the study of drama, okay? Dramas, act, scene, agent, agency, and purpose. All of this is used to study in A Grammar of Motive. Let's move on to question number 7. The Jindyworobak movement was a literary movement established or began in option A, New Zealand, B, Canada, C, Australia, or D, the West Indies. Jindyworobak movement was from Australia between 1930s and 40s, founded by Rex Ingemels. Look at him on the screen. Now, the aim of Jindyworobak movement was to free Australian art from alien influences and to understand Australia's history and traditions, primeval, colonial, and modern, right? And Rex, as you can see on the screen, was an Australian poet of the 20th century. This takes us to question number 8. Who of the following has not been awarded Nobel Prize for Literature? Not been awarded. Option A, Patrick White. B, Bol Soyinka. C, Najib Mahfouz. Or D, Chinua Achebe. किसको नहीं मिला Nobel Prize? It is option D, Chinua Achebe. अभी किसको कब मिला? Patrick White received the Nobel Prize in 1973. Bol Soyinka in 1986. Najib Mahfouz in 1988, and Chinua bhale nahi mila, but an incredible writer. Agree? Agree. Let's move on to question number 9. E. Cummings' first book recorded the personal experiences in a French concentration camp in World War One. Which book is it? Your options are A. No Thanks, B. Tulips and Chimneys, C. Tom, or D. The Enormous Room. Let me tell you, this is the autobiographical work by E. Cummings. Do you know it? Yes, you do. It is option D, The Enormous Room. Look at that cover on the screen and look at E. Cummings. Full name Edwin Estlin Cummings, an American poet and a playwright, lived from 1894 to 1962. He wrote more than 2,900 poems. Isn't that massive? Yes, it is. Now, Enormous Room, as I told you, is his 1922 autobiographical novel in which he talks about his imprisonment in France during World War One, but later he was released and he came to New York on January 1st, 1918. आगे बढ़े. Question number 10. A collection of poems titled The Golden Threshold was written by option A. Toru Dutt, B. Kamala Das, C. Veena Pentel, or D. Sarojini Naidu. The Golden Threshold is by, बताया ना, भारत की बुलबुल. It is option D, Sarojini Naidu. Look at that stamp. Wow. It was issued in 1964, a stamp with her face on it. मुझे लगता है हम भी कुछ ऐसा ग्रेट काम करें कि हमारे फोटो और नाम पे स्टैम्प्स छपे. Oh God. Is it possible? Of course it is. Even they are human beings. Even we are human beings. Even we have our good qualities. बस सिर्फ उनको पकड़ के उनके पीछे भागने की जरूरत है. Right? Okay, now tell me about the golden threshold. Well, this, it consists of 40 short poems, right? In which one chapter called as Melodious Song is very famous because it talks about a wandering folk song. Okay, आगे बढ़ते हैं to question number 11. Which of the following is not a generic plot according to Northrop Frye? Your options are A. Mythos of spring, B. Mythos of rain, C. Mythos of summer, or D. Mythos of winter. Not a generic plot. पता है आपको. It is option B. Mythos of rain. अभी Northrop Frye, you can see him on the screen. Young Northrop Frye, old Northrop Frye, a Canadian literary critic and theorist who lived from 1912 to 1991. Mythos means story or plot. Frye divides mythos or plot into 4 categories and each of them is connected to a season. बताओ कौन सा connected किससे है? Spring is connected to comedy, summer is connected to romance, and winter is connected to irony or satire. Rain to है ही नहीं. Here, what Frye actually is trying to do, he's saying that plots are drawn from the natural world. Right? Let's move on to question number 12. According to S.T. Coleridge, the function of a critic is, your options are A, to interpret and to judge, B, to appreciate and to interpret, C, to evaluate and to judge, or D, to value and devalue. Well, it is option B, to appreciate and to interpret. S.T. Coleridge, was a poet and critic of England who lived from 1772 to 1834. इनकी 2 literary criticism की books बहुत famous हैं. You should know their names. The first is Biographia Literaria and the second is Lectures on Shakespeare and Other Poets. Let's move on. Question number 13. Which collection of essays by new historicists focuses on the Romantic period? Your options are A, Rethinking Historicism, Critical Readings in Romantic Theory, B, The Romantic Ideology, a Critical Investigation, C, The New Historicism, or D, Practicing New Historicism. कौन सा है essay by new historicist focusing on the Romantic period? It is option B, The Romantic Ideology, a Critical Investigation of 1983 by Jerome J. McGon. McGon, is an American textual scholar, and his works focus on the history of literature and culture from the late 18th century to the present. Likewise, the Romantic Ideology is an in-depth study of Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, and Byron. इस वर्क में द रोमांटिक आइडियोलॉजी में Megon tells us that the ideology in romantic poetry has distorted contemporary critical activities. Okay, shaped and distorted both. आगे बढ़ते हैं to question number 14. We live in a damned, wicked world, and the fewer we praise, the better. This statement occurs in option A, The Rivals, B, She Stoops to Conquer, C, The School for Scandal, or D, The Way of the World. किसमें है, किसने बोला? It is option C, The School for Scandal, play by Richard Sheridan, published, performed actually in the year 1777, A Comedy of Manners. And these lines are uttered by Sir Peter Teazle. Okay? We live in a damned wicked world, and the fewer we praise, the better. Lines muscle in place ki. And this takes us to the last question of the day. Oppositional Aesthetics, Readings from a Hyphenated Space, is a book about diasporics by, your options are A. Chandra Talpade Mohanty, B. Uma Parmeshwaran, C. Arun Prabha Mukherjee, or D. Gayatri Spivak. Oppositional Aesthetics, who has written this book? It is option C, Arun Prabha Mukherjee. Well, she was born in Lahore, came to India, and then went to Canada. Her works are famous for post-colonial and diaspora theory, right? अगर मैं इस काम की बात करूं, oppositional aesthetics, it talks about a third world person as an artistic creator and as a subject of artistic endeavor in the West. So basically, a third world person's position in the West. And she takes examples of writing and film in this work. Right? Oppositional Aesthetics by Prabha Mukherjee. And hamara ho gaya ji aaj ke liye. I hope you liked all the questions, and do not worry if your score was less. Believe me, you have gained the knowledge that will help you crack the set exam. Right? And that is what is needed. हम कौन सा एग्जाम ले रहे हैं अभी? हम तो अभी तैयारी कर रहे हैं आपको स्कॉलर बनाने की. Right? Now, if you want a full-fledged course of this entire set syllabus, you can contact TES on the number. It's here, 93878398871. They will tell you about all the courses that we offer, and believe me, it will help you a lot in the long run. These courses come with a full lifetime validity. Nothing like that ki 6 mahine mein band, 1 saal mein band. No, it'll be with you for your life, and it'll be just so precious. Right? This is Hina from Team TES, and have a lovely weekend. Okay? See you soon. Bye-bye.